So there's a million different videos out there on how to get better at Call of Duty, how to improve your aim, how to improve movement, how to improve positioning, this and that, blah, blah, blah. So in this video today, I am going to give you another aiming video, but hopefully some of these tips or tricks are ones that you've never seen before or aren't in very many videos out there. If there are any aiming tips that I've missed or something that has helped you a ton improve your aim over the last few months or years, go ahead, throw it down in the comments below. First, I'm just going to start off with a couple random like gimmicky ones. And the first one, a lot of people will tell you not to do this, but it is to warm up with your aim assist turned off. But not only with the aim assist turned off, I also like to do 20/20 sensitivity. And the reason for this is a lot of times when I first jump on a game, my hands are always really cold. My aiming feels very clunky. Nothing is really smooth. And essentially what this does is it just kind of warms my hands up in a way where it forces me to be smooth with my aim. So I'm not over aiming. I'm not pulling down too hard on the recoil or anything. It's just forcing myself like, hey, like sensitivity's high. There is no aim assist. Like I don't have a choice but to have really smooth aiming here. Be nice and gentle on my thumbstick or else I'm not going to kill anybody. So again, I'm not necessarily trying to have perfect aim here. I'm also not going to play on this for too long just because a lot of people will say it'll throw off your muscle memory, which I agree with to an extent, but I feel like that would only happen if you played on this for, you know, probably days and days at a time. Warming up my thumbs, I'm making sure my aim is smooth. I'm not overcorrecting or undercorrecting. And then after that, I'll go back to my normal sensitivity and I'll turn the aim assist back on. But my second little gimmicky tip here is actually going to be to test out the different aim assist curves or aim response curves here. So you got standard, linear, and dynamic. I feel like most people use standard. Dynamic is probably second. I don't think a lot of people use linear. Now, when I actually started playing Call of Duty, I used linear for a really long time. I used it when I used to play Fortnite and I loved it. I'm not sure what it was. It just felt snappy and smooth. But yeah, like I said, if you never try the linear or if you never try dynamic, then you're never going to know if you like it or not. I would recommend giving it a go, at least trying it out, play a couple multiplayer matches. Again, I don't think it's going to throw off your muscle memory. And then even if you want to, you can maybe mess around with the aim assist type. So you have default, precision, focusing, and black ops. I would highly recommend not using precision or focusing though, because you don't get the strafing aim assist when you're moving your left thumbstick. So these two just simply aren't as strong. I don't really notice a difference between default and black ops though, but again, you're never going to know unless you try them. And then same thing also goes with the dead zones. A lot of people will tell you to play with a really, really low dead zone or essentially as low as you can without having stick drift. I partially do agree with this, but I actually used to play on like 13 or 15 or something for a really long time. I've even gone all the way up to as high as 25 before, just because at the time for me that felt right. I liked that and I couldn't force myself to go down really low with the dead zones. If you are really low on your dead zone, just know that it is a little bit more touchy, I guess you could say. It's not like snappy, it's kind of hard to explain, but it is a little bit more touchy and it can be difficult to control your aim. And then the last gimmicky tip that I have here is to invest in some thumbstick rings if you have the finances for it. I think these are like 15 bucks or something. You can get them on Amazon, or I think I got mine at GameStop maybe. Basically, it's just like a little sponge. You put it around your thumbstick and it just helps with the smoothness and control. And what I've noticed with myself is it actually allows me to play on a much higher sensitivity. So I've used these for probably like 2 years now and I absolutely cannot get rid of them. And then same thing with the control freaks, just a little piece that goes up on top of your thumbstick here. Basically just to raise it up a little bit higher, give you a little bit more precision. I've used these for probably like 5 or 6 years, and same thing, I can't not use them in any game that I play now. So with the gimmicky tips out of the way, I'll get into some actual tips here. Now, the next tip that I have for you guys is actually going to be practicing running and jumping through windows. Now, it might sound kind of funky, probably a little bit more of like a movement tip than anything, but how many times you find yourself in a situation in Warzone where you're trying to run away from somebody or you're trying to chase somebody down and you can't get through a window? You hit the side, you're jumping too high or whatever the case is. Same thing with doors. You're kind of bumping into stuff. If you're trying to go upstairs, you're like bumping into the wall. So practice just simply jumping through windows as cleanly as you possibly can without hitting the top, without jumping too high, without jumping too early, without doing the little mantle animation thing. That window's too low to do it. But and then the next tip here is just simply going to be controlling your recoil and learning the patterns of your gun. So I'm sure a lot of you guys know each gun has its own specific recoil pattern. I would just choose whichever your favorite gun is, whichever gun you use the most, or whichever gun you want to use, but you can't use because you can't control the recoil. And just find a spot on any map that you want. Pick an area. So I'm going to look at this sign here. Basically, you're just going to shoot it, control the recoil as best you can. And then from here, just move yourself back about 10 meters or so. Or here, same thing. hold the trigger down. If you do this in a private match, I highly recommend just getting yourself a munitions box here. And yeah, it's pretty much as simple as that. Just control that recoil, hit that sign as much as you possibly can. See how many bullets you can get on the sign, and just keep moving yourself back. If you get to a point where you're struggling and you're missing a bunch of bullets, you know, just kind of stay in that same spot for a couple minutes before you move yourself back. And then next tip, same exact thing, aiming at that spot, but you're kind of strafing. I decide now. So just see how many bullets you can get on that sign. Once you get a good amount, you feel comfortable, just move yourself back. So moving forward here, my next tip is actually going to be not aiming down sight until that little dot right there is on the enemy's head. I'm sure you've all heard of the tip to practice your centering and not aiming low, like when you're running through doors or when you're just running in general. So if you're running low, now you have to correct your aim, pull it all the way up and shoot the person. So with this, basically all you're doing is just waiting until that white dot gets right on the center of your head, and then you're going to aim down sight. So you can do this with an SMG, you can do it with an AR, whatever gun you want. I would recommend probably doing it in a smaller map and putting more bots on. I only have 3 bots on here right now. But all you're doing is just aiming down sight as soon as that reticle gets on their head. And then the next tip that I have that'll also help with centering a little bit is to practice your hip firing. So if you can kill somebody quickly with your hip fire, just imagine how much quicker you're going to be able to kill them if you actually aim down sight on their body. Again, opposed to trying to turn to somebody. If you're trying to aim to somebody, you might over aim and then you have to correct it while you're ADS'd. If you can get good at just having that reticle on their body as quickly as possible and as smoothly as possible, you're going to find that you're killing people so much quicker. And especially with how fast the TTK is in this game, literally every millisecond counts. And then the last tip that I have is just simply practicing like jumping around corners and shooting people. So again, this works a lot better on a smaller map, but if you know where someone's at, jump around the corner, kind of test your reaction time to see how quick you can get a kill on them. Oh. You know, so you're going to see somebody. If you want, you can kind of do a little run. You know, if you see somebody here, you can kind of even do like a little run back and forth, jump around, aim, see if you can get a jump shot in there. Again, it's all about just how quickly can you get that reticle on their body, so you don't have to correct anything after you've aimed down sight. So yeah, that's really all I have for you guys in this video today. Hopefully some of these tips are a little bit new. Maybe you've never seen them before. If there's any tips out there that you guys have used in the past couple of months or years that have helped you improve your aim, by all means, go ahead, leave them in the comments down below. And if you guys like the video, go ahead, like the video. If you really like the video, go ahead, hit that subscribe button. I'm really trying to make it a goal to get to 100 subscribers, so it would help me out a ton. And with that said, thanks a lot for watching, guys.